係咯，我嘅錢㗎。
What the heck?
Don't waste yourself.
What's your style?
My style? You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
The art of fighting without fighting? Show me some of it.
Later. All right. Don't you think we need more room?
Where else?
That island.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back with another episode of High Stakes Action from Mayfair, London. My name is Lex Veldhuis, and this is the Triton High Stakes Circuit.
For NT on the big one. Yeah.
Alright, it looks like they bumped up the stakes.
You go.
Last episode we were playing 2,000, 4,000 pounds. Looks like they either added a straddle and possibly some antes. We will find out soon. My best guess is that this game now is 2,000, 4,000, 8,000 straddle with a 4,000 big blind ante. Straddle might be optional. And already 60,000 pounds just going to the flop, single raised pot.
So we're six-handed. The blinds are 2K, 4K with a 4K big blind ante and an 8K straddle. The action folds around to Qiang Wang, and he raises it 3.5x the straddle with 5-4 off. However, we see that 5-4 off is not in the GTO range at all, and the solver is playing quite passively in the small blind shoes, V-pipping less than half its range and raising less than 5% of its range. This is due in part to the lowered SPR and the additional player yet to act who will have position post-flop, as well as the extra dead money in the pot, which decreases the small blind's fold equity, as the straddle will have great odds to call any reasonable raise. In contrast, if we use the same variables but remove the straddle, we see that the difference is dramatic, with the small blind playing nearly 90% of its range. But putting aside all of this nerdy strategy mumbo-jumbo, when the one round eye at the table is taunting you to shove preflop, you would be dishonoring your ancestors if you didn't V-pip with any playable hand, and so Wang raises it up. In light of Wang's raise, for this sim we're going to give him a small blind raising range with an ante but without the straddle, which does include some frequency of offsuit connectors, including 5-4. And in Tom's shoes, although King-Queen is strong, we see that overall the range is mostly calling, as it is primarily just 3-betting Ace-X and pocket pairs. This may be due, at least in part, to the shorter SPR, where the solver will tend to favor higher ranked combos that can make stronger one-paired hands.
That would be a straight. Pretty nice flop.
The flop comes 8, 6, 7 with 2 diamonds, giving Qiang a straight, and he checks. And we see that overall the small blind is doing a lot of checking on this board, including with its straights. Generally speaking, mid to low connected boards will often favor the pre-flop caller, and in this case, Tom should have all the straights, sets, and many 2 pairs, given that the straddle should have a full array of both suited and offsuit connectors in its range. Accordingly, we see that Wang's trap is consistent with GTO, and he's quite happy to rely on the Westerner's imperialistic aggressiveness to build the pot for him.
I love that he checks this. A lot of pre-flop raises, when they have a hand like ace-king, ace-queen, they will give up on this flop. Tom Dwan might be really tempted to take a stab at this.
So for perhaps the first time in his career, Durr decides to take the cautious route, checking behind, and we see that although the solver does stab quite a bit here with its range overall, king-queen off is not betting very often. The straddle's range is relatively wide, and therefore stabbing with the entire range would result in overbluffing. And we see that the stronger ace and king highs are prone to check to take another card, with the hope of realizing equity or checking the showdown. As a practical tip, if you want to avoid overbluffing, but at the same time are looking for select spots to play more aggressively, you could decide to only bet with king-queen on this type of board when holding or blocking a backdoor flush draw. Right, we see that the solver bets most often with this combo when holding a diamond, which gives Dwan a backdoor flush draw, and the solver bets next most often when holding a heart, which blocks some of the backdoor flush draws in Wang's range that would be more likely to continue facing a bet.
At any point to take this away. This card is a disaster for him. I'm gonna be very happy with that.
The turn is the King of Hearts, which is the absolute worst card in the deck for Dwan. Qiang is known to be very aggressive and unconventional, so Wang with the near nuts is a deadly combination. And he decides to begin building the pot by betting around 90%, which we see is actually the solver's favored sizing in this spot. The king is more favorable to the pre-flop aggressor's range, and given Dwan's check back on the flop, his range should be mostly capped, consisting of a number of showdown type of hands such as lower pairs and ace highs, so a polarizing betting strategy here in Wang's shoes does make sense.
Shanghai Wang bets the pot. £58,000.
天局
This is what a straddle can do to a game, ladies and gentlemen.
最后一个
The action just explodes sometimes. So much out there to fight for in dead money.
两种是不是？不管是谁，只要你把桌子坐满了，我就不怕你。
Dwan is 270,000 total in his stack. He's gonna go all in. Doesn't want to face a tough river decision.
Facing Wang's delayed c-bet and with the SPR dwindling, Durr decides to shove. However, we see on this board facing a large bet, King-Queen is actually not very strong with only around 57% equity, and the solver doesn't really begin shoving for value with high frequency until we get up to 2 pair. This is a situation where Dwan is likely far ahead or far behind his opponent, which usually will warrant a more passive strategy to allow the opponent to continue to bluff his hands that are behind and to avoid bloating the pot against hands that already have hero crushed. That all being said, with the board being wetter than Marley Cordero at a super high roller, Durr decides to go all in to charge Wang's draws.
When there would be a bad card. Shanghai Wang just wants to make sure how much it is, but can't see him going anywhere.
So this is a very clear call according to the solver, which is even calling some top pairs and under pairs with a straight or flush draw. Given that, it's a bit odd that Wang seems to stiffen up here a bit, asking for a count before making the call, but it may be more likely the case that he's actually slow rolling it like it's a coronavirus death toll count.
Huh? How much? 400.
Okay.
Open, quick!
Dwan a little bit surprised that it took a little bit for Qiang and Wang to call there.
Oh, 抢钱的是吧 How much? How much? 操你妈！啊！说对。
各位，我哋嘅邀請比賽即刻開始。開始，開始。木板係唔會還手嘅。開始，開始。